It's Liz, the Frugal Libertarian from frugallibertarian.com, and today is Wednesday, November 9th, and the presidential election is finally over. Finally. I've got to say, the last 48 hours or so have been honestly disturbing. I have seen so many people who were liberals. Now there was a stark contrast in the way liberals were dealing with the election and how conservatives were dealing with this election. And I've said in my other video, the majority of the people I know are liberal, the rest are conservative, and a minority are libertarian. But it's been a world of difference in behavior, in response. People starting as early as Monday, starting to talk about how, and these, by the way, these were liberals. These were not conservatives. The conservatives basically waited till Tuesday, did an "I voted" whoop post on Facebook, and then disappeared until the election results were in. Liberals started on Monday about, "I can't sleep, I'm too agitated, I can't believe this, I can't believe I could wake up on Wednesday and this man could be president." So then that cycled through into Tuesday, which again, same situation, and then also a mix of, "I voted, now I can't stop biting my fingernails watching the TV, waiting for the results to come in because this is so important in my life," that kind of thing. So then as the results were coming in, and it became more and more obvious that Hillary could not pull off a win, the attitudes shifted from just kind of an understanding that, you know, our candidate may lose to, "What am I gonna tell my daughter who's asleep in the morning how this misogynist who abuses women is gonna be in the White House? And how am I gonna tell her this?" You could start by telling her that a different misogynist who has repeatedly abused women and who settled a court case with Paula Jones out of court so that it wouldn't go to trial and evidence wouldn't be shown, for I believe it was $850,000. Correct me if I'm wrong. Point out to her that that guy won't be back in the White House. Now, I did not support Trump. I do not support Trump. I supported Gary Johnson. My homemade Gary Johnson sign is still out by the road because I'm leaving there for a little while just as a "don't blame me, I voted for Kodos" kind of thing. I am happy, and that's the thing, is people keep saying, "Well, you can't be happy, your candidate lost." No, I'm pretty happy. My candidate did awesome compared with 2012. 2012, 4 people in my town voted for Gary Johnson. Me, my husband, and 2 other people who I think I know who they are. So here's the thing. 2016, 371 people voted for Gary Johnson in my town. Just my town. That is a momentous victory for me. I'm not one of the 4. I'm not 25% of the Gary Johnson supporters in my town. That's huge. That's massive. Gary Johnson went from 1% of the popular vote in 2012 to 3% in 2016. Triple. And that's without being allowed in the debates and not getting funding and all of the other stuff that plague third-party candidates. He still tripled his numbers. That's impressive to me. I'm happy. I feel like this is a victory. I feel like in 2020, people are going to take this more seriously. So I am totally thrilled. However, in the last week, I've come to know more things about Donald Trump than I previously did. Not in a bad way. Basically, a lot of the reasons I disliked Trump on a personal level were things I had heard from the media, which turned out not to be true. For example, he didn't make fun of a handicapped reporter. He was doing the same shtick he does when he talks about somebody who is being stupid or can't remember things or whatever it is. There was a video put out, I think it was like Catholics for Trump or something like that, who put together this video where they compared his behavior describing a person who is flustered and doesn't know what they're saying, doesn't, isn't sure what to do. 3 different times, that time and 2 other times when he was describing other people who aren't disabled, and his behavior and shtick was identical in each video, which means he wasn't making fun of the handicapped guy for being handicapped. Also, people are saying, oh, the arm's flailing around like a handicapped person. That man's arm is fused in place. His arm doesn't flail around, so it's not even accurate representation. So I started to realize that wasn't true, so I didn't hate him for that. I mean, I have my health issues, and so I'd gotten kind of upset about that. I thought that was really screwed up. And then, of course, again, you find out it's not true. The court case against him was dropped. The woman who said that Trump raped her as a girl dropped the case again. And now we don't know why she dropped the case. We do know that it was going to go to court, and it was going to go to court whether or not he was president. So the question has been, why did she drop it? People have said, oh, well, he gave her money to drop it. That's called an out-of-court settlement, and that would have been on the paperwork for dropping it. That would have been the reason it was dropped, was that it was settled out of court. That is an extremely specific legal term. It means that that case cannot be brought up again in the future, because you have settled it. You've decided amongst yourselves that that disagreement is done, that you have fixed it, and you don't need to talk about it anymore. So that's not what happens. People trying to claim, oh, well, he must have settled with her. Well, we would know if he settled with her. And clearly we don't know he did, which to me says he didn't. So that's a huge issue for me. Paula Jones settled her case with Bill Clinton out of court, and then was told not to talk about the evidence and not talk about the case. And nobody who was angry about the Trump case cared about the Paula Jones case. They didn't care that Hillary was implicated in it. They didn't care about the laundry list of other women. And that really bothered me. I'm sorry, but you are not a feminist if you have no problem with Bill Clinton. If you think Bill Clinton is a stand-up guy, that he's a gentleman, you're not a feminist. You're a person who is deliberately ostriching yourself with your head in the ground because you don't want to deal with what's going on around you. You would rather stick your head into the sand and say, Hillary's awesome, go women, instead of deal with the fact that Bill Clinton is a sexual predator. I also then listened to the entire recording of Trump and Billy Bush, and the afterward video footage. And it turns out the media may have manipulated it to make it sound worse than it was. First of all, I've heard people say stuff about how Trump doesn't understand no means no. Actually, that's exactly what that recording said he did. In the recording, he's telling Billy Bush that he was really into this girl, but she rejected him. And he actually says, she rejected me. And Billy Bush says something along the lines of like, oh, that's too bad. And he's like, yeah. And that's it. So what that means is the girl said, no, Trump. And he went, okay. The other half were the whole, they'll let you do anything you want to them. They'll let you do anything you want to them. Keyword there, consent. Let. Less Paula Jones, Juanita Broderick, and more Monica Lewinsky. So when people are flipping out about this stuff, there's a great big deal of stuff they're ignoring. Also, On top of that, like, this isn't enough, right? I've known for a long time that the whole argument against Trump, oh, Trump hates Hispanics. He says all Mexicans are criminals and rapists and murderers and drug dealers. No. If you actually listen to what he was saying, the coyotes ferreting people, illegal aliens, over the border were criminals, rapists, murderers, and drug dealers. He's not wrong. Baylor University has an entire department devoted, a department of forensic study devoted to digging up the mass graves of illegal aliens who either were just left in the desert to die or were killed and buried. They have an entire department trying to identify who they were and to see if they can find out a way to contact their family and loved ones. Now, doesn't sound like the people ferreting them are very nice, does it? If they're willing to leave them in the desert and let them die, or murder them and then go back. Eee. You know, the whole idea of drug dealers and rapists, there are countless stories of these guys raping women because, again, the women have no voice because they're illegal, so they can't say anything. Who are they going to go to? You know, it's also known that they will bring over other things over the border with them, like drugs, like guns, things like that. So this whole outrage, what was it based on? That he said the people killing people in the desert and raping them and leaving them for dead were criminals? Oh, it's so offensive. Totally offensive. How dare you call criminals criminals? How dare you call a murderer murder? How dare you, sir? This is a joke. I have yet, now, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Go ahead in the comments and correct me if I'm wrong on these things. I don't understand where the he hates black people statement came from, because I've never heard him say anything about the black community. Nothing. And I don't know where that came from. Also, I decided to investigate the whole Trump hates gay people, wants to make gay marriage illegal, and hates transgendered people and doesn't believe in transgendered rights. I wanted to see what that was based on. I still can't find it. The closest I've come to this, the closest that's come to it, is a video where the person asks a very leading question about how can the, fundamentalists and conservative, ultra-conservative Christians, what can you say to them about your stance on gay marriage that lets them know they can trust you? It was some really super leading question like that. And he says something along the lines of, well, I believe it's a state's issue. I believe it's better handled by the states. That's it. That's all I can find. That's it. That's the only piece of evidence I can find. I have tried. I looked on GLAAD's website. Their link in their article where they were saying he's anti-trans, he's anti-gay, here's the source. The link was bad. There was no source. Either they failed to update it or it never existed. You could say it was removed, but by whom? And why? And how is there no new record of it? Because it's the internet. Everything is copied. Everything's copied over and over and over and over again. Tweets people delete. Facebook posts that get deleted. Screenshots are taken before they're taken down. Nothing ever disappears. So if that exists, there must be some evidence of it somewhere. I can't find it. I cannot find this evidence. I can't find it. And I really looked. In fact, I noticed that the same sources that said during primary season, Trump is the best case that the gay community can have happen in the Republican primary because of all the candidates on that stage. He is the most gay friendly, which by the way wasn't technically accurate, but whatever. Things like Politico and the New York Times were saying this about him, and they said it up until he became the nominee. And then the minute he was the nominee, they started saying the opposite. But again, there was no evidence to back up the opposite when there's ample evidence to back up the previous statement. Also, talking about transgendered rights, Trump very quickly spoke out against the North Carolina bathroom laws, saying that he didn't think it was right and that he didn't see the problem. Why do they need these laws? These laws shouldn't exist. They clearly are violating rights. So if you do know, please share, give me links. I would love to hear links because I can't find them. And like I said, I have been everywhere. I have been everywhere. I've been on every article I could possibly find. I basically put in Trump gay rights and Trump trans rights, and I got nothing. I got nothing. Nothing negative, I should say. Not everything negative was a personal opinion. It was never anything verified by a speech, a letter, a disclosed email. Nothing. I can't find it. It's, like I said, kind of like the whole Trump hates black people. I can't find evidence of that either. I can't find it. Now, please don't get this confused. I absolutely did not vote for Trump. I absolutely voted for Gary Johnson. In fact, I have a picture of my ballot to prove it. But the point I'm making is, after spending a few weeks really in depth trying to hunt stuff down, after I kind of realized that some of the stuff I'd been told about Trump wasn't true, or what I'd heard was only part of the information and then the rest of it had been left out deliberately, I started to become very skeptical with the fact that Donald Trump wasn't a better choice. Not my choice. Not the best choice. In my opinion. That is my opinion. It may not be your opinion. Everyone is entitled to an opinion. So when I found out he won, I didn't really care. I know a lot of people, not a lot, I know some people who are really happy. I know some people who are absolutely devastated. I don't get the upset. How is it these people actually believe this stuff? I had people yesterday, Tuesday, on the day of election, still saying, why isn't the media talking about the sexual assault case with the 13-year-old girl who had to be told because the case was dropped by her? So that's why they're not talking about it, because it's not gonna happen because she voluntarily dropped it. So basically, it's the South Park episode with Obama and McCain, except you reverse them. And now it's the Democrats going crazy and talking about the world is ending, this is the first day of the apocalypse, all this kind of crazy, grandiose, upset rhetoric. And it's the conservatives and those of us who are kind of who are just sitting here going, you know, who are either just happy in their own happiness and not really posting much of anything, just yay kind of thing. So I was typing back and forth with a woman who's friends with my friend John. And she just kind of said, why are people getting so upset? This is the process. This is what you got outvoted. It is what it is. Move on with your life. It's not going to change your life that much. President doesn't really control that much. And she's like, I don't understand why people are freaking out. But I was saying to her, I'm like, you know, too few Americans understand the voting process. They don't understand the Electoral College. They don't understand any of it. So to them, this whole thing is unbelievable. How could this be lost? That kind of thing. And then I said, I mean, an even scarier reason this is all happening now is that the left pretty much entirely based this election on we're the side of good, the other side is the side of evil, and good always defeats evil, so this is a shoo-in. And they can't abandon this rhetoric. They can't abandon this idea that the whole thing just devolves into good versus evil, and their side was always good, and the other side is always evil. They're not able to remove themselves from that place. And this is kind of terrifying, if I'm honest. And maybe that's why me and so many of my libertarian friends are just sort of like, it happened. We're over it. Because we never saw it as one of the two was good and the other one was evil. We always talked about a lesser evil, but I don't think we ever meant evil as in true horns, forked tail, forked tongue, hooves, giant pitchfork evil. We were just saying we don't like either choice, we think they're both bad, and we don't want to pick them. But we never sat there and championed good versus evil. And that's exactly what happened. The liberals have convinced themselves that they are the side of good. They've convinced themselves that every conservative, regardless of who you are, how you vote, etc., what party you're actually in, you're all evil. You're evil people. So our good has to prevail. And that's disturbing. These liberals who are this freaked out have basically turned Hillary Clinton into Snow White and Donald Trump into the evil queen. And because they believed that she was pure good innocence and Trump was pure disgusting evil, they saw everyone who supported Hillary as good and virtuous and loving and kind and peaceful, all of that. And everyone who supported Trump as an ignorant redneck who is intolerant. They were all white men. Every supporter of Trump was a white male. And they hate people of color, they hate every other race, they hate every immigrant, legal or illegal, they hate gay people, they hate trans people, they hate anyone who's different, they are people who can barely read. Like, they create this whole persona of the other side. And that's why they today can't handle life anymore. Plus the fact that they think that the president is and should be involved in their intimate personal life on such a large scale that they could literally sit there and cry and say how their life is over. Things like that. President should not be the determining factor in the rest of your life. The person who is president. Your life should not is not over because somebody you don't like was elected to office. Oh, and FYI, if you are a liberal and you're going to pull your third party vote ruin the election, remember, I'm in Connecticut. Hillary got this state, so my vote didn't hurt her. But it did help Gary Johnson in the popular vote, and that's what matters to me. And that's why I'm happy today. That's why I'm not sitting here talking about the end of the world and how everything is going to collapse, how the apocalypse is upon us. But I would love to know what you think. Again, if you do have sources for the idea that Trump was racist, homophobic, and transphobic, or hates all immigrants, or actually said every Hispanic person is a criminal, murderer, rapist, drug dealer, love to see it. Please share links. Keep this all in perspective. Realize that the president really has no influence on your life at all, or an extremely minimal influence on your personal everyday life. I mean, I'm a libertarian. I think the government has too much influence in my life. The government as a whole has too much interference into my personal life as it is. But I know, again, basic civics class from middle school, that the president does not yield that much power, or they're not supposed to. The whole idea of a phone and a pen is not the way things are supposed to work. They are part of the checks and balances, and just like the other two branches are supposed to be checks and balances against the executive branch, they're all supposed to check each other and make sure that each one isn't doing something wrong. That's the way it's supposed to be. They're not a dictator. They're not a monarch. They're not there for life. 4 to 8 years and he'll be gone. So keep it all in perspective. So, I'm Liz, the Frugal Libertarian. If you do have that evidence, if you do have the source material on where the ideas about, these negative ideas about Trump came from, please leave them in the comments. I'd love to read them. Please remember, opinions aren't evidence, so it actually has to be real, genuine evidence. But again, I would love to read them. So please do. This has been my post-election opinions and observations. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. I've got more videos coming up later in this week and into next week on things like frugality and family, and maybe get a little bit more lighthearted about the freedom. We're past the election. Thank God it's over. Very happy about that. Totally happy about that. So please subscribe, click like, give me a thumbs up, share this. I'll be back with you with more saner videos in the future. Take care and have an awesome evening and keep it in perspective. Bye.